Cool. Awesome. I feel like I haven't even talked to you all week. That's so weird.
I think we talked for like 2 hours on Tuesday.
Well, that's a meeting.
Oh,
That's
I see.
different. that's that's just Jay doesn't want to do AI things. So how do we reroute the conversation?
um, yeah. Well, week is going all right. I think I'm a bit sick, but I've got tea, so hopefully that helps my throat. Because I taught for 3 hours yesterday, and I was, my voice was getting real scratchy by the end, so I thought it was just because of teaching. But then everybody in our house seems to have the same scratchy throat right now.
Everybody was teaching.
Yeah.
That's the. I get that. I mean, since our little one went to preschool, now everybody is just constantly sick, and it's annoying.
Yep.
And we're constantly trying to avoid the big sick now, so it's just like, stop.
Yeah, gotta get vaccinated.
Oh yeah, I'm going to get mine. I haven't decided if I'm gonna try to sneak it in this weekend or early next week, because I've got DjangoCon, and it's a weird worry of like what happens if you go to DjangoCon right after getting vaccinated and you technically test positive, even though like just because you got vaccinated. I don't think that's how it works. But
well, you should at least get your flu vaccine.
Oh
You
yeah,
didn't get that one yet.
I
So
already
you
got that one.
way.
And then I'm going to definitely going to test before. Here's the trick: take your test before you get on the plane, because that's going to save you sitting in a hotel for a while. So yeah, I'm hoping to be okay and be good, but so far I feel good. My throat's just scratchy, but that's how it all starts. It all starts with the scratchy throat.
Scratchy throat is going around right now.
Yeah,
that's just what they call it, scratchy throat.
Yeah. So we're doing Playwright stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I want your opinion on a thing, because I feel like we could do this in other projects too. I ran Playwright on a static site today, and a part of me was like, I just want to make sure that every single one of these pages actually loads. So then I did this like weird assert like status code or expect status code response to be 200 type thing.
Okay.
Which,
so you're saying that's weird because you don't feel like you're fully taking advantage of Playwright to like test stuff about the UI?
I mean, I feel like it's swinging a sledgehammer at like a pin to be like, hey, start this virtual browser just to go to every single URL.
Yeah.
When I could just iterate through a file path and be like, do all these files exist?
Right. So I agree that I think you don't need Playwright for that. I do use Playwright on my static site. My website, it looks like it's Flask, but I use this thing called Frozen Flask, which freezes it into a static website.
Is that still being supported?
No, it's completely not. Yeah. But you can still use things that aren't supported, can't you?
Spoiler, the static site generator I built was because Frozen Flask seemed like it was no longer being supported.
Oh, really?
That's when you said it. I was like, what? That's back?
Well, my website was already written in Flask, and I just wanted it like an easy way to try out Azure static web apps. So I do run Playwright. Like this says Python 3 PyTest, but then if we look at the tests are yeah, look at this. So I do like the tests, which are like the standard unit tests, but then I do, if you're gonna use Playwright, you might as well do an accessibility check. That's what I'm gonna say, is that so then you can like justify using Playwright to just run on every page, because you could just go add on an accessibility check, and so then it makes sense that you loaded the page. Because yeah, if you're just checking status code 200, then you can just do that with anything that can do an HTTP request. But if you're gonna load the whole page, at that point you might as well do an accessibility check, right?
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like I did that for a specific reason of like we had this other thing that I needed to test, like internationalization. So step one, go to the homepage. Step two, click on the region language. And there was a bug in that, like, if you clicked a link in a translated page, it would still take you back to the English version. So I was like, no, I want to make sure that every single link is like that. But then, like, I have a list for every single link. And I'm like, I might as well just make sure the pages are up too. Like, fail fast and early, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely think again I could have did it a lot easier and just been like, hey, look in this output folder and do these things exist? And if so, then we can be rest assured that Jekyll is going to do Jekyll things. But in
Yeah,
the
yeah, it's a good point. Like with this one, I was torn as to whether to like check every single path, because there definitely are other paths that you can, like you could do like a recursive click of every link,
Mhm.
and then you could check every single link. I didn't end up doing that, but I definitely had it like a to do here at one point where it's like, like, should I just check the main thing? Should I check every single possible thing? Because when you're doing a static web app, you can potentially output so many
Yeah,
pages, right?
I think I would
And
test
most of
at
them are
least.
really like similar.
I would test like one page per template, probably. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
know that you're using like
Yeah.
this template does this thing and the only thing different is the generated content, like just
Yeah.
make sure that all of your base templates are covered. And then after that, then you can kind of do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. And that's actually reminds me of a issue I filed on the it wasn't on this one. I filed it on PyTest, Playwright PyTest, right? So there's PyTest,
Mhm.
or Playwright, right? There's Playwright, and Playwright's available in a bunch of languages. So there's Playwright Python, and then there's Playwright PyTest. And I just filed an issue asking about coverage and how do you think about coverage? Because when I run the end-to-end test
Mm.
using Playwright, and I'm running, so because today I'm going to run it on this very JavaScripty app. So what I want to actually know is how much of the JavaScript get covered. But it's funny because I'm running Python tests. I'm like writing the tests in Python, but I'm running them on an app that has a JavaScript front end and a Python backend. And so how do you think about coverage with end-to-end tests?
How do you, I mean, even in that, how do you test? Because I'm guessing the front end is React.
Yeah, the front end's React.
How do you check DOM entries with Playwright? Since React operates in like that virtual DOM space, how do you test those things?
Well, React still ends up making real DOM. I haven't actually looked into the details of their like VDOM and Shadow DOM and stuff, but this is like real, this is real DOM. If I inspect element,
Okay.
I can see, all these actual
You're still testing the
elements
output.
here.
You're not necessarily testing the generation of these things.
Yeah, so I can show, so I do have like a few tests already, right? So, we start with like the really basic one. So this is just checking the homepage loads and has a title. But then I do have one that's pretty interesting where, okay, so I check that the page has a title. Then I look to make sure some things are visible. So I'm just looking for some headings and buttons. And then I fill in, so this is like if I go back to the homepage, it's like I click on this down here and then I enter something. That's basically what it's doing here, is like saying, okay, what's the dental plan, right? So it's basically doing like this, and then you can see this says generating answer, and then it's eventually gonna fill in, and it streams in, so it takes some time for all of it to stream in. But the great thing with Playwright can just wait for that to be true. So I click the button and wait for the answer to be fully visible, and yeah, and then I just check some stuff. So yeah, you can use it the same way you would test, an HTMX or Jinja template or whatever. It's probably just behind the scenes. It's just gonna wait, a little bit longer because it's waiting for some JavaScript to load.
Okay. And then And you're still using PyTest Playwright, even though you're testing the JavaScripty bits.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was the other thing, that like using PyTest Playwright to test a Jekyll site, which is built in Ruby, and I was like, ooh, the gem makers are going to be very angry. But I also don't know if is there a gem for Playwright?
Is there a gem for Playwright? I don't know if Playwright has.
Hey, Jorge.
There is no. I do not see Ruby here. There is no Ruby.
Snap, got him. All the Rails developers, come over to Python so you can have Playwright support.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was hoping to just add more tests because I only have these 2 tests so far, and I want to like test every page in the app, and also like every button. That's gonna be my like way of thinking about coverage, since I don't have a way of measuring coverage. Is just to say, is every button been clicked, and every
no
tab.
no button unclicked.
That's right, no button unclicked. Yeah.
If I wanted to contribute to these tests, would I need an OpenAI key of any sort?
So let me show you how I'm doing the tests. For the test, this is really cool actually. So we also have unit tests in this app, right? So if you look at the unit tests, I'm using the PyTest snapshot package. There's like 2 different PyTest snapshot plugins, but I'm using this one here where I bring it in as a fixture, and then I can say snapshot dot assert match, and I check to see that the response from the back end matches what's in there. Can we reduce the audio is
you still hear it? Okay, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Actually, we'll do this.
It kind of gums and goes. It's kind of weird.
Really? I have echo cancellation on. Is that better?
That might be better. Let's find out if it goes up and down. So these snapshots get stored in this snapshot folder, and so then you can see, this is the response for that snapshot. So I have all these snapshots already from the unit tests. So then, so the unit tests are like testing the Python code, right? Mm-hmm. And they're also doing mocks. They're mocking out, the OpenAI API. So there's mocks all the way down. But then if we go and look at end to end, we can see what I do is that I open up the snapshot, and then I read it, and I use it to mock out the route.
So wait, the snapshots are JSON responses? That's...
they're JSON lines, which is new line delimited JSON, but yeah. For streaming, it's a JSON lines. For non-streaming, it's just JSON.
Okay.
And so
for some reason, I thought Playwright snapshots were just images.
Oh, but this is PyTest snapshot. So I'm using PyTest snapshots.
Is that a normal thing? Is that?
No, I invented it.
I mean,
no, what do you mean?
It's Pamela. You can't say that because I would believe it.
Okay, wait, sorry. I think I just can't deal with the music at all. I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. I don't know. That's fine. Let me do this.
I'll show the packages that I'm bringing in here so we can be really clear about all the different. Oh, that's beautiful.
Like so quiet.
You'll just have to fill the awkward silence. I
have the music in my head now. I'm good.
There you go. So we have PyTest, and then I've got like async IO because I'm testing an async app. I've got PyTest snapshot. So this is the one I'm talking about that I'm using for the backend test, PyTest snapshot. There's one other popular one. They're kind of equally maintained.
I've heard of was it PyTest cassette?
Yeah, so that might be similar. Yeah, I think I've actually seen. I think that one is specifically for, because that was mentioned in this really good blog post on Cosmic Python.com. This
PyTest
one, writing
VCR is what I was thinking.
writing tests for external API calls. I think he mentions VCR down here. So it's probably vcr.py. So this one is this one's pretty interesting too. I actually might end up using this in order to make our mocks for the backend test. But this one, if it's the same thing, this one runs your testing as a real endpoint and captures the requests. So that's really interesting too. So PyTest snapshot is just generally useful whenever it's like you've got a lot of output and it would be kind of annoying to just constantly have to like assert, that your JSON matches. So really good for checking JSON, right? Because we just say, oh, does the JSON's line match this result here? Does it match like the JSON up here? Yeah, and it's kind of nice because then I can look through and like see like, okay, this is what's expected from here. This is what's expected from here. Yeah. So this is all being output as part of the Python, backend tests, the ones that are doing like testing the local Python backend. And then what I do in my end-to-end test is I use Playwright network mocking. So they call it, let's see, if we look at the Playwright docs, it is in network mock APIs. Yeah. So we can say network events, no, handle requests. There we go. It's using the route function, which I think gives a funny name for it. But you just say this, when the page gets this network request, you're going to fulfill it like this. That's the idea.
Okay, so you're like, instead of actually passing the request to, because that was going to be my question with how do you handle OpenAI things and just like, oh, the server's overloaded, you got to wait. You're not testing, and I guess this is for the few people that are hanging out with us, like you don't necessarily have to test that OpenAI works, that if you send a request, you're going to get a response. Although sometimes you won't get a response because things will be doing other things. But you just want to make sure that you're properly handling the data that you're getting back. So instead of waiting, you're just saying, hey, this request got sent, Playwright sees that, and instead it hijacks the return and it returns it with your snapshot data, or it returns it with some custom data that you're... Okay, yes.
Yeah, so you can return it with whatever you want. So I could have made my own, fake data just for the Playwright test, but I thought it was kind of clever to use the because I already had the snapshots from the other test. So I was like, oh well, I could just use the snapshots in the Playwright test. More typically, you would probably just record, open your app and record this, and then save it for your Playwright test. So however you want to come up with this, but it should look like what, if I go here and I open my network console and then I say, hi, ChatGPT. Yeah,
makes sense.
Good. And then I would, look at the request there, and then I could copy out the response, which is a lot. So however you want to come up with that fake data, as long as it's approximating what it looks like what your front end would get in the real world. Then so in theory you don't to run these tests, you do not need any sort of Azure resources or OpenAI resources, because everything is mocked out.
Oh, okay. So that's really cool. Interesting. Okay. So you got me. I can now contribute, at least on the testing side.
There you go.
This. I still don't have an API key, and yeah.
Oh, we don't use API keys where I come from.
I know you use like identity management. And
there
stuff.
you go. But yeah, so let's use the PyTest test generator. That's
CodeGen?
kind of fun. The CodeGen, yeah.
I used CodeGen earlier today. That was...
Did you really?
It was, for that same trying to test some of the
Oh
translation
yeah.
stuff, and it was one of those moments where I was very excited that I didn't have to do all the boilerplate. That being said, I was also like, I really don't want to, like, I don't trust this as much because I have to change. You have to change the library to PyTest, of course, and then from there. Oh, wait, what? Oh yeah, no, because you're just using the Playwright library.
Well, I just ignore all this stuff. I just ignore all that stuff. That stuff does not matter.
Okay,
No, don't look at all that stuff. Don't get distracted.
good
No.
to know. Good
So
to
this is
know.
how I do it. I'm like, okay, so what do I want to test? So I could test that I could test that well, I kind of want to test that ask a question works. So we go here and then we see ask data. Okay, so I just pay attention to like what is not in the boilerplate, like the get by role. That's what I look at. So then we click here and then say
For the people in the back to load this, you did Playwright Cogen and then your URL, so localhost,
mhm.
and then you did 50505.
Yeah, this is what I did here.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna throw that up on the screen there.
And notably, I ran this in my terminal instead of VS Code, because I might have worked if it might have been able to open it, but it's hard to do anything that involves an external display when you're inside a dev container, and I'm working inside a dev container. So there's a few things with
Okay,
Playwright that I do in my terminal, and that's one of them. Okay, so we did. Okay, and then we're gonna click it, get my label. Okay. And then we're gonna wait. Okay, and then what we can do is so now we've like done the action. Now we want to like assert that stuff is around. So that's the point where we do the record and like we record locators. So we go over here and
oh, what?
say, yeah, so then you can like get by text. And I don't know. You could
Labeled
do
icon clicked.
get by label, log.
Oh,
What's in the
interesting.
log? Wait, I feel like. Oh, wait, it was recording, and then Okay, wait. Does that mean it's on or off?
Honestly, I liked it when it wasn't on because there's so, like you said, I kind of ignore that. I will copy all of the page go to stuff just because it's good to have like a path that you can follow.
Yeah.
But then after that, like I kind of just want the get by text, get by label stuff, and it's like
Yeah.
I don't need the actual recording stuff because I'm using PyTest Playwright, so I can just go like, all right, cool, this is good. Copy, paste, and then what's that one thing that I need? I just need that one particular element, and I'm
Yeah.
happy.
So let me try bringing it in now and see what was actually useful from that. So I'm testing ask, and then that also means
Hey, Daniel.
I do need a different snapshot. So I need to find a snapshot. So I'll just grab, so here I'll try copy relative path. Let's see.
And see, this is where the
Okay.
snapshot thing for me was just so confusing because I was like, how do you know which snapshot to pick? Um,
Yeah, so
and
yeah, because I know that the snapshot is named ask, and I'm trying to test the ask route. So I looked for one of
okay,
the ask snapshots. And ask doesn't have streaming. What actually ask does have streaming. No, ask doesn't have streaming. I got confused about where I've implemented
mm,
streaming. So it's just JSON instead of JSON lines, which means we can also get rid of this transfer encoding chunked header. And there we go. So the body's just going to be JSON.
it's
Okay.
it's funny because as I'm like looking at this, I am questioning like all of my testing decisions of like should I just been using snapshot because I
Snapshot's cool.
I'm a big fan of the like temp path and temp path factory and like all of that stuff. So I'm often like in my test just creating a bunch of documents over and over again and just
Oh,
testing that they
you were
point to
using
them.
like faker packages and stuff?
No, I'm just manually writing stuff. It's fine.
Okay.
There's no problem here.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you can do that. I think there's some benefits to, using the snapshot testing. And so basically, like, I still have a failure point. My failure point amongst all my tests is that if the OpenAI API starts responding in a different way, or any of the other APIs we use, like Azure Cognitive Search, if they start responding in a different way, because they have a bug or just their schema has changed or something, then my app could still be broken, right? Because I've got mocks, all the way down. So then I have to update the mock. So I think that, like, there's still an underlying question of how do you update your mocks,
Yeah.
or do you just run smoke tests, right? So I'm also going to work on running smoke tests, and my smoke tests will probably also use Playwright, but they will not. The difference with the smoke test is that they will not mock this out, right?
Yeah. And that's where, like, doing anything with mocks to me just feels dangerous. Like, I understand mock, like, it's weird because I'll see, like, people use PyTest mock and, like, Magic mock and things like that to just assert that something was called. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's great until something behind the scenes changes fundamentally and then your tests are failing, and or even worse, something before that gets broken. And then you're just, like, doing this strange deep dive into things because maybe it still calls the thing, but you get a different result, and your tests are still passing, even though you aren't doing what you're expecting to do. So I don't know. I avoid mocks unless, and, like, if there's, like, a thing that I'm asserting, hey, this thing got called, then what's the response of that call? And I want to test that. But I do understand for, like, APIs and things like that, you don't necessarily want to have to wait or deal with the flakiness of a service that might be down.
Yeah, and you don't want to pay money for it too.
Yeah.
That's a big reason for mocking it out. So you can see my mocks. My mocks are pretty crazy for all this stuff because we're using async, and we're using sometimes streaming, sometimes not streaming. So for, like, for, like, the streaming example, I have to mock out an entire async iterator. So it has an a iter dunder method and has an a next. So these are in my backend tests, not my Playwright tests.
Do you have, like,
So
one
you can,
test that just pings that at least once? Or you're just like,
like,
nope.
the OpenAI API? No, because
Yeah.
then, like, not everyone would be able to run that. You don't, like,
Yeah.
I don't want that dependency. So I think I'm just going to do that via smoke tests. But I have, like, I think the nice thing to do is to ideally, I thought about this even, like, when we were working at Khan Academy, because we had a lot of mocks in our code, and I'm like, this is great. But who's watching the mocks? Who's making sure these mocks are keeping up to date, right? How do you know that the contract between the front and the back end is being fulfilled?
Yeah.
So there's some really nice ideas in that, like, cosmic, this cosmic Python blog post is really good. Let me post it here. Has lots, like, really thinks through a lot of this stuff. Okay, so I think that this is probably working. My sample data is a little funny where I ask what the dental plan is, and then it says the capital of France is Paris, but that's just because that's just how I set up my sample data. But now I can try running that. So I'm just gonna run the test here and see if that worked. It'd be cool if it did. It probably won't.
And if I remember correctly, you can't call this headed because you're in a dev container.
Yeah, so if we try to do this headed, we would get this message about the X display variable not being set
Yeah.
because it's, like, tries to open up the head and blah blah blah.
Uh-huh.
So, but you can do traces. So we could try doing a trace because that's pretty cool. All right, so this one says clear chat. Oh, because I don't even think there is a clear chat on this page. So that's a good reason for it not to exist. Yeah, there's no clear chat button. Great, good. Let's say to
Should
not
there
exist. Is
be?
there, like, a not exist? Well, it's fine.
I mean, is that something you want to add as a test?
But I can show, like, let's show the trace just to show it. So we
Yeah.
could do. Yeah, I don't know if you should have tests to just check to make sure a bunch of weird things aren't on your page. Is there, like, a vampire picture on this page? No,
Hey.
no vampire picture. PyTest plugin reference. So if we look at the plugin reference, we can see -- tracing. So we can do retain on failure. Okay.
And the
So
traces are, like, these virtual DOM or, like, these DOM instances that you can, like, crawl through, which are pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
they are.
does your axe play testing like does that work with tracing?
No, the Axe playtesting doesn't.
Because you're
Or I
usually just
haven't. Oh,
checking
you mean
against the
like?
violation count. Because oh,
Yeah.
so I have a project that has violations, and I'm working through those violations. But also, like, so right now my test is like, is the count
Uh,
lower than this number? If the answer is yes, then just keep moving because I know that those exist already. But like, I would love to see traces of like, hey, no, you hit this error. Can you like go to those? Because I mean the axe core stuff is really verbose and like, hey, you've got problems here, 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 and here, but I would love to
yeah.
click on those and actually go and see where they are.
Yeah, I mean, so when I'm doing the accessibility testing, that's where I use this. I use PyTest Snapshot there as well. If you use my snapshot version of the plugin,
Oh,
and then it'll note like what your 6 violations are. And you can, print out the long report, but at that point, I just tell people to like go in and open up your go over here and look at Axe Dev Tools, and then because this will give you this extension gives you the exact same issues.
okay,
Because it is this is from Deck, which is they're the group that does it, and it should give you the exact same issues. So I think it's easier at that point just to use the browser.
okay. Deck is, you call it deck? Okay.
DEQUE. I
I
don't
just
know.
call it DQ.
Oh, yeah, maybe DQ Labs.
Yeah.
I thought it was like French and you do it. So, okay, so we did get a trace.zip. So now for opening the traces, we have a couple possibilities. So there's locally, you can open it locally with Playwright Show Trace. Okay, so I'm gonna go and just run
Yeah, I
this
would do that.
over here, Playwright Show Trace, and then it's in like test results and 0 trace.zip. Okay.
I feel like this is a very specific feature request that we could add to VS Code of just the ability, because you can open a remote terminal, and if you're in a dev container, you can open your terminal inside of the dev container. I want technically a local terminal that I can open inside my dev container so that I can just have them like
Oh, I see what you mean.
one in the
Yeah,
dev
just to
container and one
just to
outside of
bunch
it.
them up. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that does actually make sense. That's right. Because a lot of times I do have my local terminal that I do for my non-dev containers things, but still is the same project.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the trace, which is super cool. So you can actually go through it, line by line. So we go to the page, we check the title. You can see the little red icon. We get this, we did this, we click it, we fulfill the mock, and then we check that this is visible. We can expand this. There we go. What's it into plan? This is visible. And then the one that fails is that there's no clear chat button, which makes sense because there's no clear chat button on this page.
Yeah.
But
Testing that we did not implement a UI.
I mean, no, but like if it like there's logic that I actually think it's a reasonable thing because there is clear chat on the other one.
Wait, what?
So, on the chat, on the chat page, we have a chat tab and an ask tab. So that one does have a clear chat button. So it would be like reasonable
Yeah.
to check, but I actually don't even know
Or to just have a
it.
clear
Like, is
chat
there
on
like
both buttons or both
assertions?
pages.
Well, it's because people like with chat, they want to like clear out their whole chat and like start from scratch. With ask,
Yeah.
it always clears out anyway. So
Oh,
the
okay.
question is, do they have like, is there like a to be, to exist,
I don't
to?
think there's a to exist, but I thought there were, because you can't be to be hidden, because to be hidden means it
No, it's not
exists, but it
hidden.
doesn't. It exists, but it isn't visible. Could you do not?
That's what I was thinking. Maybe not visible.
Well, no,
But then how do they?
I meant like check for existence, but then just put a not in front of it.
Yeah, but then how do I check for existence?
I think it's
What's the
just
right
dot
way to check?
exists, right?
That's what I was wondering. Exists.
Hold on. checks other projects for the existence of this variable. Because I think I just did this of like, hey, does this? I think it's like a specific value thing of like, hey, does this value exist? Let me see.
Page assertion. Page state to have title. Okay, locator assertions. Not okay, and then okay, so it would have to be a locator assertion. And to be attached. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's like I don't know I don't know what attachment is.
All right, well you research this and then okay, so good. So we have now ask is handled. So what other I want to just like click buttons. So if I click on this one, this thing pops up here.
I was wrong. I did not have exists in there.
You didn't.
I had to equal.
Let's see. Okay, so we can also try clicking on these things. Maybe I should try clicking on these things. So let's go back to the code gen. And let's see. So when you like click, so this is an interesting thing is that, you know, we're kind of using a div as a button here, which I hate.
I was like, that doesn't sound
Yeah,
accessible.
so I'm
is
gonna
it?
inspect. So that thing I already, when I wrote the first set of Playwright tests, I did already change some divs to be buttons in you know on these pages because this one down here was not a button and now it's very clearly a button.
Yeah.
So let's see, what is this?
The ask a question button.
Well, yeah, I did put a little tooltip on it because I don't like buttons that are icon only because I'm like, what does that mean? What is that doing there?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's there as I'm slowly trying to dive deeper and deeper into accessibility things. Like there was this whole topic that I fell down a rabbit hole into the other day about buttons and how you're supposed to make them accessible.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of debates about it. I was looking for I feel like it's even a website, like a div is not a button.com. I feel like it's a website.
I'm not gonna
Dang
lie.
it.
I feel like you made that website.
No. I thought my friend made it. Okay. Anyway. Okay, so these are divs. So we could test them, or I could do the larger change of actually let's test this clear chat button since we're all into this clear chat button. So let's see, where's my code gen at? Okay, so I chatted. Hi.
This is the capital of Paris, or the capital of France is Paris. Okay.
Well, this is testing. This is actual ChatGPT
Okay.
when I'm doing the code gen. Okay, so then clear chat, because we actually had a bug with clear chat. So I actually do really want to test clear chat because there was a recent like fix to it. So then luckily this one looks to be like it's a button because I actually fixed it in the recent VR. Okay, and then I did it, and then so now here's the cool thing is that you don't see you don't see the message anymore. So I actually want like all that not to be visible stuff. So wait, what happened to my code gen? Okay, all right, so what we're basically gonna do is like take the chat thing from before. You can see I only use the code gen kind of minimally, right? So I'm gonna take all this chat stuff from before, and then this time, or I could have actually. Question is, should I just have added it to the existing test, right? But okay, whatever. You can decide. Like with testing, I do not care about keeping it dry. You know, like getting rid of redundant code. All I care about is coverage. It's fine if you have like a million lines of tests. So let's see, we clicked so we click it, okay? And then we want to check that a bunch of things aren't visible. So then I guess we just do the not of all these, not to be visible. And then not to be visible. And then what happens next. And then this is actually disabled again because there's nothing to clear. So this will be disabled. So to be disabled. Yeah, I don't know. What else do I want to check? Thing is, like, you should check when you have like bugs for stuff, right? So I think the problem was that like the answer didn't go away, and I think we checked that.
Well,
You could check other things.
I'm trying to see the tests again. Um, Wait. Okay, so you asked the question, or no, you hit the ask a question button. What's the dental plan? How are you filling that in? Oh, right here. So you by placeholder fill. What's the dental plan?
Yeah.
And then it says, okay, you click. You want to make sure that exists. That exists. That exists. Then you click clear chat. Did you check? Oh, no, scroll up. Scroll up again. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm following you again now. There was a lot of enable and disables in there, and I was like, wait, my
Yeah, and now I'm really debating whether this should just be part of the like the chat check, but then yeah, we'll just see. Check that the chat is cleared. Is it gonna pass?
people can't see what you typed, but I'm guessing it was just
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
guessing it was
it
just
was.
Python dash and PyTest.
Well,
And then
no,
maybe
it's
the
actually not
tracing.
because this is actually a good thing to talk about because I specifically did not name, notice this file name does not start with test underscore or end with underscore test. So
Mm,
I am bypassing test discovery because Playwright tests take a long time to run versus like a unit test.
mhm.
So if I run Python 3-m PyTest,
It runs everything.
everything else, it doesn't run
Accessibility
my Playwright.
testing and
No, it's only running cheap tests. So it only runs unit tests, like things that are using like just a mock local client. These are all unit tests. So it's running all of these, but not running anything that involves Playwright because Playwright requires an additional like requirement and installation, and it's slow. And it's not gonna it's yeah so it just has a lot more requirements, so I make it so that it's an explicit thing, and then in my workflow, like my GitHub workflow, I first
can
run my usual test, and I have coverage for the Python code, and I even have like a fail under, and then I separately run my EDE test.
is there a way that you can because I found a link in PyTest as we were saying this that you can use to like it's a setting that you change the naming convention. So instead of test, you can have it look for like check. I wonder if there's a way that you can set that at runtime because I feel like that's going to be easy until it's not all of a sudden. And I feel like you could just do like PyTest dash dash check these values or PyTest check check dash dash check those values, and then just have a default that excludes your Playwright tests. Because I know for like a project that we worked on, we called it test Playwright, and I feel like you could just precursor everything with like Playwright accessibility, Playwright end to end, or test
Yeah.
Playwright this, test Playwright that. That way, when you just run PyTest, it runs everything, but then you can have those like hot wires to say run everything except this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be that those all sound like they could be good approaches too. Like I definitely am not like convinced this is the best approach. This is just like one approach I know where I'm like, okay, I'm trying to exclude this, but it doesn't scale very well, especially if I wanted to like have multiple end-to-end tests in different folders. So yeah, then I want to like
Yeah.
start using markers or something like this. And we're also like talking about having another kind of test on here, which would be actually probably run in a different workflow, and which would require using OpenAI, and that's for doing evaluation of the quality of the responses. So you actually end up asking ChatGPT to evaluate ChatGPT's response, and that does like that's a really slow test, right? Because you're
Mm.
like making API calls on a bunch of test data, and we've got it like working with PyTest, but we definitely do not want anyone to casually run that test because, well, it's going to take like 30 minutes and it's
Yeah.
going to cost money. So I was like, I think you should definitely make sure, because the only risk, like if you call that test underscore evaluate, if for some reason somebody didn't have, I don't know, PyTest like obeying your marker correctly or something, they could accidentally run that test. Like when they click like on the test discovery thing, VS Code, it would find it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just something that I keep in mind is like if I feel like if a test is going to be auto discovered, you just gotta, it definitely should not cost you money.
Oh,
That
yeah.
to me is like really important.
And I guess you could also just put everything in different like test folders, and then you can set your test paths specifically.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So
because we have
you could have cheap tests and expensive tests.
paths.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, there's another project where we have like our slow tests, and our very slow tests, and we used markers for that one, I think. So that's, yeah, there's a lot of different.
I don't think
Different
I've ever played with
approaches.
PyTest markers other than like mark skip.
So we did that in Pico logging because we have, because another kind of expensive test is property-based testing, where you throw a bunch of types of values at. Oh, look at my folder, slow test. So we called it the slow test folder to make it really clear.
Man,
And
yeah.
this is using hypothesis to do property-based testing. So this throws huge amounts of type like different arguments.
My brain with hypothesis just can't. I just never understand hypothesis.
So here's the idea. You have a function that takes like an integer. If you tell
Sure.
hypothesis to test it, then it's just going to try lots of different kinds of integers, negative integers, zero, large integers, small integers, well, not floats because that's not integers. So yeah, so it'll try all these different types of integers. And then you have to have like some sort of check that you're, to see, that something expected, or just you just check there's no runtime error, right? Like
Yeah.
the bare minimum is that there's no runtime error. So that's the idea of hypothesis. And then you can also, if you're doing fast API, you can use schema thesis, which is a hypothesis for APIs. So it'll look at the OpenAI spec, for your app, and then it'll auto generate the hypothesis tests. So this is really cool. I use this for one of my fast API apps. So that's another kind of slow test.
Yeah, I can imagine because you're creating not necessarily, I mean, a large integer of tests for every single test. It's like parameterized, but you're not giving specific parameters. You're
Oh
giving
yeah,
it a
so it's
range.
like thousands of variants.
It's like
potentially.
random, range, and parameterize all together.
Yeah, so I mean the cool thing is that they don't actually try like every possible integer because there's no
Yeah.
like there's like known, it's known that like negative ones could be problematic. It's known that like large ones could be problematic. So fortunately it's not every single thing. Like that's up to hypothesis to
Yeah,
decide.
I see the filter here. You have like everything that's greater than 0.
Yeah, I did add some filters here because
Or
you
less
can
than
limit
0.
this one. This one was making sure that the text did not include formatting strings. I forget why we had that, but this says this is have to do with logging. So I guess we were checking for everything that didn't
Yeah.
have formatting strings because that would be a different test entirely. Oh, because we were adding our own formatting string. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Because if you do that logging message and you have a random percentage sign and it doesn't correspond to an argument, then you get an error, which
Yeah.
is to be expected. So we had to tell it like, hey, in your random test, do not just randomly put a percentage sign in there.
Gotcha. Sorry,
so-
sorry for the diversion.
There we go. Okay,
Anytime we
so-
get into testing, I'm just like, I am team test all the things the right way, but I'm also like team, I don't know what that is. So
Right, and there's so many different ways to test. Okay, so now I want to test. So I've tested this streaming. I want to test the non-streaming. Okay, so I'll just show you in the UI what I mean. So developer settings. So actually, I guess I need to I'll open this up. That's what I'll do. Okay, because if you do developer settings and you disable streaming, and then we ask a question here, dental. And then
Dental
this
question?
time, I don't know. I'm getting
Tea?
really creative. Do you have tea? So what you saw is that instantly appeared. it didn't go in letter by letter.
Yeah.
So that is what I want to check because it's actually an entirely different protocol and format, and we have really, really complicated code on the front end for this. So let's get that. Where's our nice little code gen here? So let's see. So developer settings. So I click that, and this is where the code gen's pretty nice. So we can do. Okay, so we clicked that.
Yeah.
And then, and here's actually entry and accessibility points. Talking about accessibility, if you have properly done a checkbox, you should be able to click the label or the checkbox. That's one key. That's one sign that you've done a checkbox correctly. So I clicked the label and it unchecked. So that's a good sign for accessibility. I'm going to close this. Then I'm going to say dental, denta, dientes.
We're just slowly getting up. It did not know what denta meant. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. I didn't need that. All I wanted was everything coming up to this point.
It's
Okay.
like boca question mark.
So we'll. I'll show you something fun. Is that okay? Wait. Let's wait. First, let me paste this stuff in here. But we should test this one out because you can override the prompt template and say you are a cat and you only know about tuna. Okay. So
Dental question mark. I'm sorry.
Yeah, dental. Ready?
Tuna is very good for your teeth. As a cat, I need dental coverage.
This kills me every time.
This is yeah. We're doing the real work here, the very, very hard work of ensuring that
it.
our cat AI overlords will not
love
be
it.
in charge of our dental programs.
Anyway, okay, so that's super fun. All right, so we're gonna test chat non-streaming. So test chat non-streaming. So for the handling, I need to use a different snapshot driver because this one was a JSON lines. So I'm gonna go find my snapshots and find one that wasn't streaming. So this one is not streaming because it doesn't say stream and it's just a JSON. Okay. And then I'm going to say copy relative path and just copy that in here. Give it some quotes. Okay. So it's going to be JSON, 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 and it does not need this transfer encoding header. And then the request goes to /chat. Okay, so we go to the page and we check all these things, but then we want to check the developer settings. And that's the most important thing, actually. So we can remove that.
See,
stuff.
I think the example that I would love for an extension on is like PyTest Playwright, like replay or something like that, where you're doing a lot of these steps over and over and over again. It would just be really fun if I could just go, hey, replay up to this point. Now do this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, when writing the test, I'm just copying and pasting the test. Like eventually, like I won't even need to use the code gen. The code gen is just helpful to get the locators that it recommends. Okay, so this looks okay. Let's see. I don't know how long I'll last with my frog in my. We told our 4-year-old the expression "frog in her throat" because she's had a scratchy voice for a few days, but she keeps saying it's in her stomach, and we're like, "Okay, how are you feeling today?" And today she was like, "I have 2 frogs in my stomach." Like, oh, 2 frogs, huh? Wow.
2 frogs.
Ooh, that's a lot of frogs in your stomach. Okay, so that worked. What did we do? Yeah, we did streaming. Okay, cool. So I'm getting to some nice like coverage here. So that's cool. And so that was also checking the ability to click this. And it worked. There's all this other stuff to check. Gosh, we should just remove these features and then I don't have to check them.
Or since we are halfway through our stream, we can use this moment to tell people what we're actually working on and how they can contribute to this project.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there people watching? I don't know how these things work. So
There's always people watching. This will be on
there's
YouTube forever,
always
so
people
people can
watching.
come back and watch it.
Okay, so I am working off of this repo here, and I tried putting URLs in the chat, but it didn't let me. I probably don't have
Yeah.
permissions like you do. So this is a repo I'm working on. It's a pretty popular repo, 4K stars. I chose how to do what we call the retrieval augmented generation pattern using your OpenAI. So the idea is that you get results, you get the question from the user, you get results from cognitive search based on that question, and then you give that to OpenAI, and then it responds constrained to that data. So it's a nice way of keeping ChatGPT in line and getting it to be useful for your own data. So lots and lots of people are using this actually, and it's been a pretty interesting repo to work on because since there are so many people using it, we do want it to work really well because better for people, better for us, so that there's less issues that I need to wake up to in the morning.
Only 209 so far.
I haven't been watching the whole time. So, and I also, so to admit, oh, I didn't even shoot. Do we have discussions enabled now? Oh gosh. Okay. Okay. We haven't even, I think they might have, I didn't even think we had those enabled. So most people everyone's using discussions, they're using issues, sorry. So I like to keep things open because a lot of these things are like not a bug with our code, but it's just kind of like difficulties in setting something up, and other people might have the same issue because there are people trying to get like their Python and Node set up across different operating systems. So I like to just keep issues open even if there's nothing for us to do, which I know is weird, but I know that like most people are probably not as good, no offense to other people, but are not as good as searching for issues as some of us are, right? Like
So
I know
many
that I need to,
PMs got anxiety with you just saying, I leave the issues open.
well, because otherwise, if you're searching for something, you'd have to know to remove the is open filter.
Yeah.
If you have stuff in discussions, you have to know to go to discussions. Like, so I wish that GitHub was like a lot more aggressive about saying, hey, there's stuff
This
that
already
matches
exists.
this in closed or in discussions. Like if GitHub did that, I would close up the wazoo, right? But right now I don't.
I'm certain there has to be some feature for, I mean, GitHub. Please, I know you're listening right now. Like there has to be some future implementation, even if it's for like paid users or whatever, that will automatically check for both. Like it looks like you're trying to create an issue that's already been documented. Like
Yeah, I guess when we have GitHub, like what is it called, Copilot for docs or Copilot for repos, maybe that stuff will get better. Because like if you look here, you search for this issue, you see there's 6 open
oh,
and there's 1 closed. You have to know to click on that closed, right?
Copilot chat would be so good if it automatically checked against a repo's issues, both opened and closed. That would be so
Open
great.
and closed. That's right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully that's what they're working on, and they're using it. It's funny, like we want that for this repo, which is basically doing that, right? So we could
Yeah.
like use this repo to do that. But
Also, shameless plug, if you would like to talk to us more about this idea, you can catch both of us at GitHub Universe in November. We will both be on site. Pamela will be doing AI stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm showing up and enjoying the ride. So
you're doing a panel, Jay.
I'm doing a panel on VS Code tools. So yeah, if you want that feature, attend my panel and tell us, and we'll make sure that feedback goes to the right people.
Let's see. There's Pamela, and then let's look for Jay. There we go. There's a lot of J's. Here's Jay.
Yeah, I was gonna say there might be a couple of J's. Mine's more, hey, I have ADHD and I have to use VS Code. What do I do? Pamela's like, hi, I'm here to teach you about stuff. That's important.
Mine is about deploying this repo.
Perfect.
Jay, it's important to use VS Code too. I use VS Code with this repo. So I'm trying to get this repo to 100% coverage, both in the back end and front end. So with the back end test, I can use PyTest Cov to check the coverage.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty close to 100% now. Well, if I ignore this folder right here. And then on the front end, we haven't figured out a way of instrumenting the coverage, but my our heuristic is going to be, has every button been pressed or like every
Okay.
form been filled out?
That's what I was going to ask, was like, how do you, because like you don't necessarily need to check every element, but I do think you need to check at least every element that's actionable.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I should like, so these are buttons, so I should definitely click on the button. This is not a button, it's just
Oh,
sparkly.
that I wonder if that, I mean, that has to be doable. Like you could take inventory of a page.
Oh, to see if every button has been clicked is interesting,
Yeah.
like in terms of coverage.
I feel like the challenge with that though is that if you, like the conversation we had at the beginning of, do you really need to go to every single blog post and retest all of the same reused elements,
Right.
or can you just assert like, hey, I know this is all built off of a template, I can just assume that if you've tested the one of the templates resources, then you've tested, for all of them.
Yeah, the interesting thing is like with the test we were talking about earlier, we were talking about accessibility, and if your content is coming from a database, and if your content, includes, if your content is like, imagine if you're pulling from a database and that database has like image and image caption, and then it uses the caption to make the alt, you can actually have situations where one page is inaccessible, the other page isn't is accessible, and the only difference is the content pulled from the database.
My argument for that is bad UX then, because it you should be doing consistent things consistently. Like if I add an image, it should add that image the same way every time, including adding alt text and these other things, and the system should prevent you from not doing things in an or it should prevent you from doing things in a non-consistent manner. But I do understand what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like once you get to the point where like, hey, check every single page, check all the images, make sure all of them have tags. Like maybe for Axe, like if you're doing Axe Core, that makes sense because you're not manually writing the test for every single page. You're just saying, hey, here's a list of pages, go check the accessibility of them. But like if you're adding a button, like what happens when you add a YouTube embed? Do you have to then test the functionality of that YouTube embed? Like I feel like that's going to get out of hand really quickly, and it's going to be really hard to maintain in the long run.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So, you probably aren't going to do that. Like, so Daniel's in the chat, and Daniel, I know from some Khan Academy stuff, Khan Academy work. So, like at Khan Academy, we would do, we had a standard set of widgets that we could use in our content, and we just analyzed each of the widgets. And so we knew for each widget what the accessibility issues were, and then we said, okay, these are the list of, what widgets we consider to be accessible, widgets we don't consider to be accessible, and then we would audit and say, okay, well, you shouldn't, we shouldn't have content that uses these inaccessible issues. We should migrate them over. So
Yeah.
yeah, so ideally you do things more, you identify what the core pieces are, like the templates or JavaScript widgets or whatever, and then you analyze those instead of having to check a million pages.
Yeah. Yeah, I get, and again, I think that in a perfect world, all of those elements, like they're tested behind the scenes. You trust that those have been tested. Like that's where like UI elements are preferred. It's like, oh yeah, I want to use something that I know is going to give me the most stable and predictable asset possible, and that way I don't have to. Oh, I built my own asset library. It's like, yeah, but now you got to test that asset library. Whereas you could use someone else's already tested asset library.
Yeah, but how many of them are actually tested? Bootstrap is inaccessible by default. Twitter Bootstrap.
Yes. Yes. I mean, well, yeah. I'm surprised it still exists.
I mean, it's still like it's nice to. I mean, I still use it, but then I
No,
have to just immediately like change the color contrast on things.
yeah. Right. I mean, yeah, I think that there's a lot of tools that will let you build as much unaccessible stuff as possible. I do think that would actually be interesting if you could a UI or maybe a CSS library accessibility like scorecard where you run the same tests across a site that was styled using all of the defaults just to test for like, hey, how accessible is this out the gate?
Yeah, we can just go to getbootstrap.com and
Get Bootstrap and run accessibility testing. Like, oh, all the errors.
let's see, docs.
I mean, it's
Of course,
pretty
the
though.
question, color. Yeah, it is pretty. So if we go and like look down here, and then the question is are Bootstrap's docs written in Bootstrap? I presume so.
Ooh, I would sure hope so, but I mean, I definitely built.
Okay, so like it's pretty good. So the what I thought is that the color contrast ratio they have some issues with. So you can see some issues with that. And then
Yeah.
links must be distinguishable without relying on color. This is a good one. This is one that I've been trying to fix up in my slides. I'll show an example. So like I just did this workshop yesterday, and you can see that the links have underlines. Do you remember when the web was first born that links had underlines? And that was how you knew something was a link because it
Now
was
they're all
underlined.
underlined on hover.
Yeah, so if we look at, let me think, if I go to like an old one, yeah, there we go. Look at this. You can barely tell these are links. So I'm trying
Yeah.
to revamp my CSS to be accessible by default. This also has like this is using the accessibility theme for Highlight.js. So if you use Highlight.js, there's two accessibility themes, one light, one dark. So this is accessibility dark.
Oh, see that Check's website now is embarrassed by. I mean, I'm pretty sure I fail a lot of accessibility testing. I'm sure my website is just even my page about, hey, I need to run accessibility tests on my website, which is the latest blog post.
Let me see. I can also try to run FastPass. So I know that there's issues on one. Yeah, it's like HTML has Ling. Link name. This is one that I can't fix because it's part of a plugin, and I do like the plugin. And then there's some things that are just specific to the fact that these are slides, and so they do operate a particular way. So yeah, so some things I won't be able to fix without losing functionality that makes it accessible in other ways.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't think that I'm glad that a couple of times we've derailed and talked a little bit about accessibility testing, and I know that if you're going to talk to anybody about this, I feel like you are one of the people that takes this as serious as it should be taken, and has also contributed code to making it easier, and that's something that even starting our conversation with like, hey, let's first check for accessibility testing. Okay, we're good. That's super helpful.
Yeah, these are my two blog posts about automated accessibility. I haven't integrated this into the OpenAI repo yet. I just did manual accessibility testing on it, but that's on the list to do.
Wait a minute. I'm confused. The DQ Labs browser extension isn't free?
It's free up to a level. They got to make money somehow, right?
Yeah,
They give
yeah.
away X core, so it's free up to a level. It's like if you want to, yeah, you got to upgrade to unlock.
I would have gone the other way. I would have made the browser extension free and then make like better, like not better. I don't want to say better tools, but like I don't even know the word. Like tools that will enhance this. Okay, I see. So there's a free Chrome extension and there's like Pro, which does
Yeah.
more. Okay.
Yeah,
The
that's I
the
think what a lot of the extensions do these days.
Yeah, well, the way that they labeled it felt more like this isn't free, and I was like, oh wait, what? I gotta I want to run Axe Studio just randomly on sites. I gotta pay to do that. Like, that's fine, but that makes me look at other tools as well. Because I was trying
Yeah.
to think of like color contrast analyzers. I was thinking about some of the other tools in terms of like ARIA and like ARIA like inspectors and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I could definitely see where maybe there's a benefit in having one extension that does all of those things. But when you just hit Chrome extension, it was like 7 day free trial. I was like, wait, what?
That's right. Yeah, and I have not upgraded, so I don't know what the pro features are like, but they know their stuff, so I imagine it's good if you're doing a lot of it. If you do want something, another free option, Microsoft has this accessibility insights for web, and this one's a really cool one for color contrast. I actually really like it for contrast issues. So because what it tells you is how to fix it. So it says element has an insufficient contrast. You can either it's often like you can either darken the foreground or lighten the background or whatever. So it says use the foreground colors, this new one with the original background color, or use this new background color and the original foreground color. So this is
Yeah.
really cool because it figures out the ratios wrong, and it figures out how to slightly tweak either the foreground or the background to get up to the level. So for example, I'm gonna show this because I know that the organizers, so Pygotham, right? So let's go ahead and run this, and there's 31 color contrast issues because this mustard on brown thing is really really hard to read, and
The
I was
mustard
about to
on
make a
brown.
fix, but then apparently I looked at the code base and it seems like it's written in Ruby, which
Yeah.
was an interesting choice for a Python conference, but I assume that it was forked from a Ruby conference.
Well, no, spoiler. Most static websites for Python conferences are written in Ruby because of Jekyll.
What?
Yeah, because GitHub
Oh,
Pages is often the host for a lot of these.
I did not realize that.
I don't know if that pertains to PyGotham specifically, but this is a conversation we were having with Black Python devs, the organization that I run. Is that like everyone's like, wait, why are we writing Ruby? And it was like because the Python static site generator we want to use, spoiler alert, it's the one that I made, doesn't have proper internationalization. So until then, we're using Ruby because it's the easiest and fastest way to deploy a website on through GitHub Pages. So I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's kind of the situation at hand. Contributors welcome to my project.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess if you want it, so I guess that's right. That's why I didn't change it. But this is really
Yeah.
cool because look at all the red. So all the red indicates issues, and you can click on it, and then you can also see like this inline modal that gives you the recommendations as
File
well.
issue. What? That's dope. Wait, how
Oh
do you
yeah,
file
file
issue?
issue, but it doesn't know. So you have to go to settings to configure issue filing, which is fine. Like you could do that if you were. This is like if this was like regular part
If
of
this
your
was your
workflow.
site. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you were like a QA, QA, working in QA,
Yeah.
you could use this extension and then set it up so you could file an issue.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
I keep distracting you. We've got like 45 minutes. I'll let you get back to.
Well, okay, let's try. Okay, so I do want to. There is something that I haven't done yet that I want to see because here's the thing: a lot of these things here, the big thing that they do is affect what gets sent to the network request. And so ideally I want to like spy on the network request and assert that something happened, that the parameters were in there.
Yeah.
And I don't actually know, I haven't done that before. So this will be something new. So let's try it. Let's start the code gen again. And we might have to look at the documentation, which is great. We
Love
love
dog
looking at the
diving.
document. I actually do like. Okay, so we're gonna do our classic teeth, and then actually no, we can click developer settings first, and
It's gonna get more and more generic. It's gonna be
you
tooth
are a
next.
cat and only talk about tuna. Okay, so we're gonna just fill out everything here. You're only a cat and you only talk about tuna. Retrieve this many search results. We change that to two. Oh, interesting. Click. Huh. That, so you see that well, has text is like a, oh, I feel like that did not work very well. Has text is like a null character and then click. Okay, I'm gonna try. Yeah, I think that one was actually better. And then what if I change it to 1? Okay, I think that's better. Exclude category. I've never even used that before, but okay, exclude category dogs. And then we're gonna click these, we're gonna click these, we're gonna unclick that. We're gonna change this to vectors only and unclick that. Okay, so I've just tried to click all the things, and then do they have like record? Is there anything here related to network requests? I'm just gonna toggle color mode. I don't know what that is. Clear, don't want to click that. Copy, there's record. Okay, so I'm just gonna see if anything happens here. I don't think that this thing does anything to do with network requests. Okay, so I will always find it hilarious to tell ChatGPT to be a cat. Okay, so great. All right, so we're gonna like test you know, chat customization and this stuff. Okay, I'm gonna paste this in here and then bring in the handle. I'm gonna bring in the handle from non-streaming since I did click not stream. And okay, but the question is, can I do like asserts in here, maybe in the handle function, to see what parameters got sent to the request? That's what I want to know. So we're gonna go.
I think you can
Yeah.
do a lambda thing, can't you? That was the thing that I did earlier with the assert status code. I went from like go to this one space, check it, and then assert that this function pass, or like expect this lambda to pass.
Well, I need something to show what the parameters were. So I need to check to see if route includes like the parameters that are being sent to this route.
Gotcha.
So let's see. So route, or API response assertions. Assertions about the API response in the test. Not, well, that doesn't look like very much. It's just 2VK, not 2VK. Okay. All right, let's go to route. Abort. Properties request. Route.request. A request to be routed. Okay, that's right. This is what we need. Route.request dot post data JSON. Yes. Okay. All right. I think so. Let's just try just we're just gonna print it out because we're awesome. Route.request dot post data JSON. Okay. Got JSON. Okay. And then I'm just going to copy and paste all this initial stuff here. Okay, so we go there. Okay, so we go to the page, blah, blah, blah. Go to the page. We click the developer settings and click all this stuff. And then we need to actually do a little chatty chat. So let's see. Okay. And then we'll ask a question. All right. And then I am going to just run this test. So like, I assume I can still do -K when I have just a file. We'll find out soon. Selected 12 items, 10 deselected, 2 selected. Yeah, that's because I've parameterized, I think. So that's why it's saying 2. I should definitely have tracing on because it doesn't seem like it's working very well. Okay, there we go. We got a failure. I should also fail fast. Okay, so I need a few things here. I need a lot of PyTest parameters because that was too slow. This is when we need that background music, Jay. Only right now and never any time others. Wait, are you talking?
Yes, I was
There we
muted.
go.
My bad.
All right, let's see what even happened. So waiting for oh, okay, so it didn't manage to get page got chin retrieval mode double click. Okay. All right, we'll just simplify that. All right, let's do that tracing. We need that tracing, that sweet, sweet tracing. So we're going to do -K, we're going to do -S so we can see the printed thing. We're going to do tracing equals retain on failure. And then I think -X is fail after first failure, right? For PyTest?
Yeah, -X. That's for that. And
All
you
right.
can do yeah, no, you got
Ooh, look at all those logs. Sweet logs. Don't you like my logs?
yeah, dog. I heard you like logs.
So I printed out all the logs. But we can see that it has loaded the page and it is doing something. We're gonna have to see the trace results. Okay, timeout exceeded. That's cool. And then let's look at test results. Yeah, so I'm gonna do get that trace thing again. Test results. And open up the trace. Here you go. Okay, all right, so this is cool. So this is like actually what I needed to do to debug. Oh, this is great. Okay, so we click it, we say you're a cat, and we fill out some stuff here. We exclude dogs because they suck. Then we like check some stuff.
Well, the few viewers we had,
I know
just
we
lost
already
half of
lost
them.
them. I know we already lost them when I was like using light mode. No, to be fair, like there was this dog last year that just came to my house and just hung out, and I actually really liked that dog. If I could just have that one
That one
dog,
dog.
that one dog,
All the other dogs, not so
I
much.
really liked that one dog. But eventually, the like neighbor realized that they lost their dog and came and got them. This is after we this is after we posted on all of Nextdoor trying to find, you know,
Okay.
the dog's owner, and then discovered they were across the street.
Okay. Well, that at least you weren't like, hey, you know, that's a nice dog you have. It'd be a shame if something would happen to it.
Well, the dog kept coming back. Like the dog, like we really shared a bond. The dog kept coming back. So I do think the dog liked me as much as I liked him. Okay, so it's having a hard time with this particular drop down here. I guess this is the first drop down we're trying to use. So it gets it by the text, and then it tries to click it. Okay, and then it's trying to get by role option name vectors exact equals true. So yeah, I don't know. It's having a hard time with the drop down. I realize I've never done a drop down before. So I'm not sure why get by label. Maybe like, okay, so right here, maybe I should get rid of this double click because I see vectors here. Ooh, can I like click it and then have, can I like record right here and see what happens? No. That'd be cool if I could. What if could I like delete? No, you can't just delete. Okay, well, what I notice is I can like see the option right at this time. So I'm thinking maybe if I delete this double click here, because I don't even know why I was like double clicking there, and then go straight to this one. Okay. All right, that's my theory. So I'm gonna do vectors. Where okay, so we clicked it and we clicked it, and then Wait, I don't even see this stuff anymore. Oh, did I already delete it? Oh, I already deleted all that stuff. Okay, well, I'm just gonna only delete this one and then try it again and see if I can actually get it selected.
Ignore me at the moment. I'm just responding to your unrelated request to
Oh, the pull request to add the fave icon.
yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen a fave icon that was 256 pixels wide. But
So what's interesting is they can be up to 256 by
really,
256. That is the maximum. That being said, it is very common to have like a favicon set, which has multiple sizes in it, which I thought was very strange, because mobile devices and browsers and things like that, they will use different favicons for like icons and things like desktop stuff. And there were some in there like 192 by 192, and I'm like, what? Like, what is, who's doing this and why? And please stop.
yeah, no, because you can do multiple link rels. Can't you do multiple link rels for each of the different sizes? You can do like 10 different link rels,
Yeah, and
right?
this is what's throwing me off is there are, yeah, so like I just generated, you were like 256 by 256 is too big. So I just generated all of them, and I have everything from 16 by 16 to 192 by
Mm-hmm.
192. And there's a part of me that's like, I should not upload all of these, but I should upload some of them, and I just don't know which ones.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I don't know the best practice, but in theory, like, well, the best thing is like if you could use like an SVG, because then it would scale, be scalable. But I don't know that I don't think you can use an
Yeah, I was gonna
SVG for an
say, I think they
ICO.
need to be ICO files.
Yeah, I think they do. So I yeah, so I don't know. I'd have to look into that. If it's gonna be 256 by 256, at least did you send it through Tiny Ping?
No, I'm gonna
I would send it
make it
through
smaller.
the nice panda.
The nice panda.
Send it through the nice panda. So the cool thing is, okay, this actually passed when I commented out the drop down thing. So I'll debug that later, since I've never clicked on a drop down before. So maybe there's something I'm missing there. But I did print out the JSON from in here, and I am able to check the parameters. So I don't know if this is like typical to do it this way, but I could actually just do asserts here and say, assert. Oh, great. I'm just gonna let Copilot do it for me. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what that is. Did you just make that up or is that in there? Use query context. I feel like it's starting to make. No, I think it's actually right. How did it get those? Use semantic. Okay. It's like kind of making things up. Okay, so now let's like check. So the overrides, actually all of these are wrong, so we're gonna go. It's because it got close. So if I really wanted it to get it right, what I would do, Copilot pro tip is I'm gonna paste in the JSON here, and this also just helps me looking at it too, right? So like this is what we got back because it's all in the overrides. So so we're gonna confirm that the request body is as expected. Okay. But it's cool. So this allows me to check all those things that
Today
I
I
checked
learned
off.
you can, for one particular version of Internet Explorer 9, you could use an SVG.
Oh, really? Why did they not continue using SVGs then?
There were a lot of rules. Like it has to be a
Mm.
black stroke on a transparent background, and like it could only do so many things. It's, yeah. I'm just trying to see because I'm looking at this. I also saw the shortcut thing, and I'm like, shortcut icon versus icon. I don't know the difference. Um, I also don't understand, like, I don't understand. This is so confusing to me, and like why they would, like, why would you add multiple? Someone in the chat. I know we're doing testing right now, but I must solve
If
this
anyone in the
iPhone
chat
story.
knows fave icons.
Yeah.
Okay, so this passed. All right, so this is what I did. I don't know if this is, it feels a little weird because my asserts are up here, like before everything else happens, because this is where we
Yeah.
set up the mocking.
Hmm.
But it does totally work because it goes into this code when it does, do the fulfillment. So here I can make sure that, all the things they checked here are being passed on because I don't really care about, like, I could give different mock data based off that, but this is really about making sure this stuff goes to our backend, and then I'm gonna like trust the backend to use it.
Okay. That makes sense.
So that's cool. Now that's a lot of our buttons pressed. I do have to figure out this situation with selecting a drop down, so I will look into that. But those are pressed now. So feeling pretty good. I didn't
So you've got
really.
buttons, you got your parameters.
So this one's tricky. Maybe we should try to. I've been avoiding this, so that maybe that means we should do it. I thought you only do easy things on streams, right?
No, I was gonna say, yeah, sitting on stream looking very confused for a long period of time is my specialty.
Okay, so because this is actually opening an iframe.
Okay.
So yeah.
Does
So I
Playwright
have
have
to.
access to the iframe content?
I don't know, but maybe we could even like check that the URL is correct, right? Because if we like inspect it, like it's probably going to be a 404, right?
Yeah.
But if we could inspect it, so like inspect that the iframe has the right content. I don't even know. I don't even remember if my mock data even has citations in it. So that's the first check is like, do I even have the mock data set up for this? So let's take a look at like at the mock data that I'm using here from my snapshot tests. So I got my test, I got my snapshots, I got some there. Okay, and then okay, well I have the data points. Yeah, so I do have benefit options too. Okay, so then there should be the ability to click benefit options too in the UI. All right, so that's what's gonna happen next. So I have so many things here. Okay, there's the click the light bulb. Okay, I'm gonna comment this stuff out, and because I didn't actually, I kind of just barfed that onto the page. So let's try click the citation. Okay, so let's do. Oh, well, that's reasonable. Let me just make sure it matches this one. All right, so page.getByText.click. And then how the heck are we going to check that iframe? All right, so let's get a locator. Let's try code gen again. Code gen. All right, so blah. Generating answer. Okay, and then we've got this thing here. So we click it, and then that opens this citation over here. So I guess that one thing to check is to make sure that this is visible. So I don't want to click it. I just want to make sure it's visible. So I'm going to go into record locator. Okay, so I want that. And then I also want this whole iframe. Oh, good. It found the iframe. Yeah, so that one. Give me this iframe. Is it going to let me click on it? I can see it. I can see it. Like, I can see that it does want to.
Come on, give me the iframe.
Okay, let's try this again. Okay. Okay. I can't get it because it's confused because I'm clicking inside an iframe, which makes sense. That is confused. So I'm just going to have to screenshot it. No, I'm going to do, I actually am going to screenshot it because I can't even figure out how to, here we go. That's what I want. It's iframe title equals, and then the other one was just get by role tab. Okay, so that's fine. So so we'll copy some stuff over here. I think this is really what I already had. Get by text one. Okay, so I just need the one in there because it does say which of the things it was. Okay, and then I want this one. All right, so we expect citation tab to be visible and selected. So that's going to be expect get by role tab name citation. Why is it citation? Shakira. How you know I was recently watching Shakira medleys. Okay, and then we also want get so we want that iframe.
Yeah.
So but what is it? Does it have a role? Okay, we're just gonna go to the Playwright docs and see if they say anything about iframes. Frame locator. Oh, look at that. You can go in the frame. Wow. How do you use that? A frame locator. I don't even actually know. I don't need to go in the frame. I actually just wanted to make sure it existed. Page chat friendly get by text. All right. I don't actually need to go in the frame. I just want to see that it's there. Let's go ahead and look at my awesome screenshot. Okay, iframe title equals. So we're gonna get by title. Page dot get by title. Cool. It's not citation. It's just citation. Don't get confused. Okay.
Not to be confused with.
To be visible.
I just want to throw out there that the icon tool that I use is amazing.
Yeah. Is it Photoshop?
It's not Photoshop. It is called, what is this called? It's called Image to Icon. It's a setup tool. And you can do an icon pack, but it also gives you the HTML. It gives you like an index.html that includes the header information for all of your icons. So I can just go in there and copy and paste it.
Nice. Okay, I just need to get, I think I'm in the wrong frame here. I just wanted to I'm just curious why it says it's the name is citation. I'm gonna try changing that to just citation. Okay.
You've ruined the word citation for me now, because now I just want to hear Shakira.
Citation.
I'm just gonna call it the Shakira from now on.
All right, let's see. Test chat. All right, we're gonna find out if this fails. What do you think of my new LED lights, by the way?
I honestly can't tell that they're there. Sorry.
Why do I even try?
Oh no! I got asked to do it. I didn't turn on my light, so people won't know who I am. There.
I know, right? I didn't even notice it wasn't there.
Yeah, it's because my head covers it.
Yeah, I think you should move it up a little bit. All right, we got a nice little error. That's what we like. Oh, we couldn't find benefit options too. All right, well, let's do our nice little tracing action because probably mess something up.
This feels very excessive.
Playwright. Are you adding 500 icons? Playwright test results?
I mean, not 500, like 10.
Okay, test chat. Okay. So, oh, it says the capital of France is Paris. And yeah, it didn't have a citation. So that's what I was worried about, that even my sample data wasn't well set up. I'm beginning to not like my sample data that just says the capital of France is Paris.
This is why I manually do every single one. That way I know.
Don't you think I manually wrote the capital of France is Paris? There's actually, it's going to show up in a lot of places in my, okay, it's because it's in my, it's here. This is going to be a larger change because what I need to do is actually, so let's go ahead and take a look at how this happens in the actual, like what it looks like over here. This is why I should have just been more careful about my original crafting of my mock data, for my backend tests. But let's just see. Let's just watch the request. And I'm gonna do not streaming because it's streaming's a pain to look at the request. Okay, dental. Okay, so the answer should just have it at the very end in brackets. All right, so right now, to avoid regenerating everything, I'm just going to go to my end-to-end test and, gosh, I have to regenerate my whole, regenerate everything. Okay. No, I mean, it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do.
Yep.
So it should say...
Does not make it any easier to do.
No, in theory. No, watch this. It'd actually be easy. I'll show you now how my snapshotting works. Okay, capital France is Paris. As you can clearly see, well, now this makes me want to change my capital France question.
The capital of Belgium is Brussels.
No, it should be like, do I have dental insurance? But, okay, here's the answer. So what I'm going to do is Python 3-m PyTest. And so what you're going to see is that the snapshots will fail. Okay, so this is what happens when you do snapshot testing, right? What we see is the value does not match the expected, and you can go up here and, you can compare them. It's going to be a lot easier if you do like -VV because it's kind of hard to compare. So let's do VV. Very verbose. And then look up here. Okay, so now you can see, oh, this is beautiful. It actually did a good job with this one. So you can see that it shows the difference is the benefit options at the end. So as long as I'm okay with that change, and I am, what I'm going to do is run snapshot update. And that tells PyTest snapshot that it's okay to actually update all those files. So it's going to go and update all those files. And then it still shows failed, and it just says it's the first time where it says snapshot directory is modified. So it's letting me know that it was modified. But now I'll run PyTest for the final time without any snapshot commands, and everything passed. And then if I look at my source control tab, I can see that the thing that changed is the addition of the citation. So now all of my snapshot tests have that citation at the end. Let's take a look at what about JSON lines? Yeah, so the JSON lines also has it for the streaming response. Okay. Cool. All right. So now it should be good because it's in all the mock data. So I'm going to run the end-to-end again and see what happens. Okay. It passed. Okay. So it worked. All I did was check to see that the citation tab was visible. That's good enough for me because I don't want to have to mock out a whole iframe response and make a whole PDF.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty cool.
I like it.
Okay. What else should we call it? I mean, I have a lot more tests now, which is really cool.
How many tests did we get to in total on this?
So the thing is, I've been debating about which of these tests to just combine. So I have test chat, I have test chat customization where you change all that stuff, test chat non-streaming, test clear chat. But clear chat, I might just combine that with test chat because it's really something you do after you chat. So I'm having a hard time deciding, which because with unit tests, we try to make it like only test one thing. But with end-to-end tests, I kind of think it's okay to put more stuff. So I might end up like just moving this into one of the chat tests. Then we've got test ask. So we basically have like our tests correspond to kind of like the main routes that we're testing, which is slash chat, slash ask, and slash chat stream, plus like a customization of one of those routes. So that makes sense because then I can like fake out, I'm faking out the routing. So I think like what makes sense is that if you need to fake out the routing, then you probably like if you need a different mock response, then you probably want to have that be a separate test.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think anytime you're doing, anything super, super fancy, like that needs to be its own separate test. It needs to exist in its own little bubble, especially something that's brittle. Like, I'm sorry, I hear mock, I immediately hear brittleness.
Yeah, well, you should read that Cosmic Python blog post, which lays out the ways in which things are brittle, because there's just different varieties of of brittle. But I'm not. I mean, I'm just not going to be hitting up live APIs in my unit test. Like that's just not a thing I want to do. All right. Well, I do need to click these light bulb buttons. I've been avoiding this too. Okay. So show thought process. I'm good at avoiding things.
I was like, wait, why were we avoiding clicking light bulbs? That, I mean,
they're just like, okay, so we've got, okay, so does get by label show thought process. And then it's because I was debating what to assert. That's why. So, okay, so we click this and then, we've got the thought process. Okay, so this would actually be pretty similar to this stuff here. So get by title. So this time I want it to be title thought process to be visible. And not just visible. I want it to like maybe have like a class name.
Okay.
So like what's the difference between, right? Because if I click on this, now this is like no longer selected. I can kind of see the stuff changing. So I'm trying to see, or I could also just check to see that this whole div here should be visible. So role equals tab panel, but then the thought process. Yeah, I guess this is what it's trying to do here. So it's trying to say that this stuff. So then we're trying to like, so how do we just check that text is, I guess you just do get by text. I'm still kind of thrown off by the way that Playwright works because I'm so used to Selenium. So anyone who's done Selenium, like with Selenium, you just straight up, you're constantly just checking CSS selectors. But for Playwright avoids CSS selectors unless absolutely possible. So Playwright tries to do everything based off what the user could see. So like, okay, the user can see, searched for, blah. So we're going to say, searched for, we're going to find that. And then, and we're just going to say that has to be visible. Okay. So that's what it is. So we click this, we should see that search for to be visible. And then we could go ahead and, click this clipboard. Right, so then we're gonna click the clipboard button. So that's gonna be this page. Get by label show thought process dot click. No, is that this one? So show. That's the data point. So this one has the label show supporting content. There we go. Show supporting content dot click, and then that is going to expect page get by title. Let's see, is it called supporting content? It is to be visible. Okay, and then what text is going to be visible here? So it looks like it's going to like start off with the but then I don't know. Okay, so it should be like page dot, it should be unique text. So what is unique text here that isn't shown in another one? That's actually kind of tricky because this actually overlaps with this. And that's what Playwright is supposed to do when you do code gen, is that Playwright figures out, what is the, unique thing that you can look for.
Yeah.
I don't really know what is going to be unique. I think what I'm going to do is, Because the problem is if I do code gen, well, what did code gen? We're going to do code gen for this. I want to see what Playwright generates because Playwright must realize that it's not unique. So we're going to go back to the code gen. Okay, and then gonna clicky click. Okay. Cool. All right. So we're clicking on, first I click on this one, then I click on that one. And then I'm going to do a locator, record locator, and get by text. So what is this like? Get by role. There we go. I can do a role with heading. So that's great. That's what I needed. So because this is the only place where it has a heading role. So I'm going to say expect page.get by role heading. And I think this is not going to be the same heading in the mock data. So that is an issue with CodeGen. I don't know if there's a way to get CodeGen to use my, my mock stuff.
I would assume not, but I mean, how would you even get it to? Okay, so wait, maybe it is possible, but then also like the way that you would do it is kind of clunky because I think if you ran it locally and you did it in headed mode and you just have like a local server running in headed mode, would it not have your mock data included?
Yeah, my local server, I actually do run it with live chat GPT. It's interesting. Like I know I've thought about I've talked about this with another of our colleagues, Chris, is that I need to write like a mock GPT server so that I'm not like constantly, hitting up chat GPT.
Pre-train your very simplistic like model here is like I built my own GPT. It's a cat. It knows all about dental plans.
Right, yeah, it could just be a hidden marker model. It could even be lorem ipsum because we have this common chat app protocol that we're going to conform all of our samples to. So it could just be something that new because when you're testing the UI, you don't care about the content. You just care
Yeah.
that it's adhering to the protocol. So it could just be lorem ipsum as long as it has all of the JSON filled out with stuff that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that passed. I actually really thought it was going to fail, and now I'm confused as to why it didn't fail.
I was gonna say, does that mean that it should have failed and didn't fail, and therefore?
Well, because I don't think I have this in the mock data. Why did that? Am I test chat? All right, let's just try running all of the tests. I really didn't think that was going to pass because I don't think I have this in the mock data. Let's find out. No, it's not in the mock data. So how would that be visible? This is gonna super sketch me out if this passes. It'd be like, okay, it passed. Now I'm sketched out. All right, what we're gonna do is tracing equals on for all of them so that we can then take a look to see why it thinks that this thing is visible. So this should be filling out the test results folder. Test chat. I could have just done the one test I needed. Okay, thanks.
Don't mind me here.
All right, let's see. So, show trace, test chat. Actually, that's the one I want. Is this one? Okay. Okay, so let's check this out. All right. Oh. Well, I don't even see. Do I have two functions named the same thing, maybe?
I hate it when that happens.
I
Two test functions named the same thing?
don't you get an error when you do that though? Let me
No,
see. Test.
I don't
chat,
think you
test
do.
Home. Test chat.
I mean, maybe you do, but
Test.
I don't think so.
it's really freaking me out here. This is like Ghost in the Machine. Let me try this. Okay, so it gets to citation, show supporting content, and that works. But then is it just ignoring that I asked it to check on a heading? Because look here, I say page.get by role. Oh, you know what?
The second, by the way, the
didn't
second
have
function
parentheses.
called wins.
The second, yeah, that makes sense. I didn't have parentheses. There you go. That's so funny.
Yep,
So
gets you
if
every
because
time.
this is like, of course this is going to be true because it's just a function that exists. All right. This is why my screen is just too big. And this time it's going to fail. Because we just need it to be, I should actually have taken a look at the trace. Doesn't exist.
32-bit ping. I don't think that's needed either.
All right, now it exists. Okay. No, it doesn't exist yet. Just check. Oh, client 0. Client 0. All right, so here, yeah. Okay, good. So that's right. So it's just that that heading doesn't exist. So we're just going to change it to what's in the data. All right. So now they should all pass. Dun, dun, dun. I could turn off my logging too, but you know, I like logging because it makes me feel I'm not alone. Okay, so all passed. And it is covering quite a lot of the buttons. There's only that one button, but I'm gonna do it when y'all aren't looking. It's just this one. I have to debug this one.
We'll
I don't
test
do
that
I don't
another
do
time.
I don't do real debugging when people are watching. That's me and my chocolate cake just alone.
I did I tried to pull a prank on you and submitted an update to my PR while you were pushing to see if the notification would pop up.
Oh, because I don't have the GitHub, like whatever it is, the GitHub extension.
Yeah. Oh no.
Remember, I get all of it in my personal email. So when you,
Okay.
just so you know,
I was like, yeah, let me figure that out.
5 files. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to see the tiny one because I was like so shocked when I looked at it and was like, okay, view raw.
I mean, it's
There
still
we go,
5K.
teeny tiny.
I mean, it's still a 5K, like 32 by 32.
I know
file.
that's saying like when I make fave icons, I'm like hand drawing pixels. That's what
Like,
I expected to see. I'm like, where are the
no.
hand drawn pixels here? Like,
Absolutely
I
not.
expect to see like just like a raccoon. Okay, and then I assume you have link rels. Oh yeah, for new browsers, multi-size icon.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I got rid of all
so
of the like super old. There's like ones that were like for iPhone 4, and I was like, no. Just if Apple's not gonna support it, we're not gonna support it. I did the same
Okay.
thing. There was like IE10 Metro icons and stuff. I was like,
Yeah. Wait, so who gets this big one here? Who gets 192? Android? Interesting.
Yeah, Android. And I'm not familiar enough
Like,
with the
is your
Android
phone
ecosystem.
even that big? My phone's like not even like I'm just gonna like hold up my phone. Like that is bigger than my phone. So like, are these just like really big Androids?
I think it's Android tablets.
Oh, okay, they are really big Androids. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I have to approve it then, since I pressured you into.
I will
doing
at
lots of
least.
files
I'll try one more thing. I will run it through an image optimizer.
Oh yeah.
Most of these are PNG files, so they are kind of heavy. I can probably get them reduced a little bit.
All right. 1 o'clock. So, or
We did it.
4 o'clock for you.
We did it. We made it. We got
all
tests
the tests.
added. I provided enough distraction just to keep you on board. We played around with some accessibility stuff. I think it's the first time you joined me on a stream on my channel. So
Yeah.
do you wanna shamelessly plug all of your stuff that you're working on?
The main thing I work on is this repo. No, I also work with Jay on the Cookie Cutter Relic Cloud repo, which generates lots of other repos, and I'm using them right now for a workshop series that I'm running for Girl Develop It for
Yep.
women and non-binary folks. So we're going and doing all this Python stuff, but anyone is welcome to use these materials for running your own workshops. So, and maybe I was talking with the FlaskCon folks, like maybe I'll do a Flask workshop before
Oh, that sounds
FlaskCon
fun.
because I pretty much already have the material. So, and yeah, like yesterday's workshop, we talked about SQL Alchemy 2.0 because I did recently release a big version change to SQL Alchemy 2.0 so that now you can use the typed models for SQL Alchemy 2.0,
You're
and I have a blog post about that.
you're an
If
official
you want
palettes
to
maintainer
read,
now, aren't you?
well, Palettes Eco. There's Palettes, which is just
Mm,
Flask, I think, and maybe one
okay.
other thing, maybe Worksog or something. And then there's Palettes Eco. So Palettes Eco is for the extension. So I'm a
Okay.
Palettes Eco maintainer.
Very cool. And yeah, there's hopefully we will do this more often. We've got projects galore that we both work on. Apparently people are asking us to learn about Databricks, so
Oh
who
yeah.
who knows what's gonna happen there. Anybody that knows Databricks, come on stream with us, tell us what to do. We'll listen. But yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks everybody for hanging out. And yeah, Pamela, thanks for wanting to come on stream and do this and
Yeah.
doing it in such short notice. And people go follow Pamela on Mastodon and follow the blog and all that stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff. And one of the blogs that I do subscribe to because there's always some good knowledge going on there.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right, see you later.